All right, guys, we have our mini preview and season win total predictions here for the Kansas City Chiefs. This is episode 16 as we run through the NFL. Halfway there already, so hopefully we can keep it on rolling. But over, under 11.5, minus 134 to the over, plus 110 to the under. We're going to go under 11.5 here with the Kansas City Chiefs. I know it's crazy, and it's not something I would actually bet on with Mahomes at quarterback, but that's where we're leaning with this, and for the sake of this exercise, that's where we're going under 11.5 at plus 110. Coaching staff, it loses Bieniemy. Andy Reid continues to stay. He'll call plays. Matt Nagy is the new, I guess, OC, so it'll help out with that. But Andy Reid, the guy, and then Steve Spagnuolo, who is just, he's a great defensive coordinator. Simple as that. He will stay and coach the defense. So let's jump into the roster. Don't really need to talk about Patrick Mahomes. Talent-wise, to me, this is the greatest quarterback ever, just in terms of talent. So there's not much to say here. Offensive line, couple losses here, or a couple changes here. Orlando Brown gone. That's going to be a difficult loss. He's replaced by Donovan Smith, who had his struggles last year with Tampa Bay. Maybe not, he didn't struggle as much as it seemed on the surface, because he had a lot of kind of meme holds and stuff like that, where every time he held, it felt like they were dropping a touchdown, but he wasn't that bad. But he's definitely a step down from Orlando Brown. I hope to step back up this year. Jawan Taylor comes in at right tackle. Wiley's gone, so that to me is an upgrade. Jawan Taylor is a good player coming from Jacksonville, and he gets to continue to play at his position as well, which is important. And the interior offensive line is just really, really good. Thuney at left guard, Humphrey at center, who didn't let up a sack at all, I don't think, Humphrey. And then right guard, Trey Smith, who they stole late in that draft. So just an incredible interior. If the tackles click, good luck getting to Mahomes. Running back room is pretty good. Pacheco is solid. Nothing particularly great, but he doesn't need to be particularly great when his quarterback is Mahomes. Edwards-Helaire is doesn't seem like someone who could even catch on at another team. He may not even make this roster, but you know, he's an option. Jerick McKinnon, another good option in the pass game. He had a really good run in the pass catching game late on in the season. So a nice solid 1-2 there. Tight end room, Travis Kelce, who continues to be excellent. He's getting older, but is similar to Tom Brady, I guess, where until he slows down, or until I physically see him slow down, I can't really predict him to slow down even as he gets up there in age. Noah Gray's the backup, and he's a good enough backup. So, you know, Travis Kelce, obviously the best tight end in the game, and then, you know, a solid 2. That's good enough. Wide receiver room, another, you know, it continues to be a mishmash here until they draft or find an incredible receiver to be their alpha. So no real number one on this team, but, you know, some good players, decent pieces. Valdez-Scantling is solid. Sky Moore has been getting a lot of, you know, hype in camp. So has Rashee Rice, who they just drafted in the second round. So that's your 1, 2, 3 maybe. Tony is really good. As a Giants fan, it's the same stuff. It feels like he's really good when on the field. He's just never on the field, it feels like. And then Justin Ross is someone who's very talented, but, you know, we'll see if they can develop him and get him back into his 2022 kind of form. We'll see, but, you know, a mishmash, but, you know, good enough probably as it was last year. All they lost is Juju, and they could do it without Juju. And then the offense loses Bieniemy, so we'll see if that really makes a big deal. I don't think it will. I think Andy Reid does a majority of this stuff, and it seemed like Mahomes and Bieniemy really weren't connecting too well, and it just seems like a Bieniemy thing in general, but they both get a new start, so we'll see how that works here, and if it mattered much at all. And then we go into the defensive line. It's not too bad. Chris Jones is obviously elite. He was very, very good last year and very important to them and will continue to be. They'll hope to get his situation sorted. I assume it will. Nadi's okay next to him, not too bad. And then the edges, they lose Frank Clark, but Omenihu comes in and he was actually kind of a better rusher than Frank Clark, so that's sort of an upgrade if he continues that. Karlaftis had a pretty good year, and he'll hope to take another step. 7 sacks last year. We'll see if he can get some more this year, but he'll hope to take another step. He had a really good year last year for a rookie. And then they drafted Anudike Uzama this year in the draft, a really good pass rusher at Kansas State. Not much of a run defender, so we'll see what kind of snaps he gets, but talent waiting in the wings. And then everyone else after that is kind of replacement level, so not a ton of depth, but should they stay healthy, it's a good D-line. Linebacker room is really deep. It's also good. There's no like superstar here, but it's a good deep room. Nick Bolton, he had an incredible Super Bowl, but he had a good year, and he'll hope to take another step. His run defense is really good. And then we have Willie Gay, who is great in pass coverage. They bring in Tranquil, who's also really good in pass coverage. And then Leo Chenal is another run defender who comes on in those packages. So it's a really deep room, a lot of variety in terms of skill set with these linebackers, and it's just a really, really good, solid, deep room. And then we have the secondary, which loses Thornhill. They'll hope their second-round pick from last year, Cook, comes in and just replaces him and hopes to kind of bring that production. It's going to be difficult. Thornhill was really good, so we'll see. Sits next to Justin Reed as well, who's solid and continues to be very good. McDuffie and Sneed, the one and nickel, were both really, really good. They'll hope to stay healthy and just continue with that play. McDuffie may even take another step, so we'll see there, but a very good pair. Watson, the third corner, he wasn't particularly great. He'll hope to take another step. He needs to take another step probably for this secondary to kind of really get there. But if those three guys continue to play well, and then Watson and Cook really take some extra strides, it could be a really good secondary. But for now, you have 3 really good pieces and 2 not so good pieces. So, you know, an odd mix, but we'll see how it goes next year if they take those steps. But now into the schedule. They're going to be favorite every game. This is the Kansas City Chiefs, and you know, that's how it is. But the schedule does have a lot more 50-50s than I think may be displayed when you kind of just look through it. Detroit at home, week 1, open the season. That feels like a win. At Jacksonville, Chicago, at the Jets, at Minnesota. So there are some good teams there. 3 road games that are difficult. Chicago feels like a win at home. They should get whatever they want against that defense. But, you know, at Jacksonville, who has the offensive talent to keep up, and you'll be down there in Florida in the heat early on in the season. At the Jets, who will be better with Rodgers back there. Defense is good. At Minnesota, it's tough to play in that dome, and that's an offense that could keep up with you, so we'll see there as well. And then you get their toughest stretch. It'd be Denver, Chargers, at Denver, Miami, overseas, bye, and then Philadelphia. That is a brutal stretch. Denver should be better this year, and Denver played them well last year even without all the changes that made them better, so we'll see there. Denver could take one off them as well, and then the Chargers are always difficult for them. Herbert's one of those leads in offense that tends to keep up with this Charger team. Miami will be better, I believe, and then they're bye, and then they play a Super Bowl rematch against the Eagles, so that's obviously incredibly tough. Then at Las Vegas, at Green Bay, home to Buffalo, at New England, so 3 road games sandwiched around a game against the Bills. It's not easy. These stretches aren't easy. Las Vegas, Cincinnati, and then at the Chargers to end the season. Another set that's just not super easy. I think they'll beat the Raiders, of course, and then Cincinnati always gives them fits, and then at the Chargers, who always give them fits as well. So there are more 50-50s on here than I think. There are some spots in this roster that might get at left tackle, some holes in the secondary maybe, but we're going under 11.5 mainly because I think there are more coin flips, but Mahomes will win 13 or 14 games and prove me wrong anyway, guys. So that's it. Episode 17 tomorrow and a new team.